Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Carnifex entitled World War X, which came out today through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, you probably have heard of Carnifex if you're a fan of deathcore and stuff. They're a deathcore band hailing all the way from San Diego, California, and these guys have been around since 2005. And Carnifex, for me, are probably the best deathcore band going right now. It's just, these guys, for me, to just continue to get better and better with each album. Like, they've been putting out albums since their very first album, called Dead in My Arms, which came out in 2007, and which I thought it was a pretty solid album. But then then a year later in 2008, we get The Disease and the Poison, which I think is a bit of a step up from there, which has great songs such as In Coalesce of Filthy Faith. Can't even say that song. Another great song. But I feel like after those two, they kind of like changed it up a little bit with their third album, Hell Chose Me, which came out in 2010, which I thought was a pretty good album. Honestly, at that time, I thought it was one of Carnifex's best albums, where it still has that deathcore stuff, but they also kind of have like a little bit more of a death metal, even black metal feel to it, which then is pretty much on their next album, which is 2011's Until I Feel Nothing, which I thought was pretty good. But it was around 2012 or so where the band had announced that they were going on a hiatus near the end of that, but it wasn't until probably near the end of 2013 where they got back together and reformed, did stuff. And then in 2000, and then of course they signed with a new deal with Nuclear Blast, which they've been to with since. And then in 2014 they released their album Die Without Hope, which I thought was a really good album. I definitely feels like Carnifex, especially since that album onward, like they still have like the deathcore stuff, but they also have a lot more like blackened death metal feel, which is just insane. And then their last album, which came out in 2016, Slow Death, was really good. I feel like with that album, they've kind of like explored more with like atmosphere and a lot more black metal feel. You could definitely hear there's a lot of the black metal influence, especially like in the vocals and even like the guitars. It's just really great. And I mean, they have the deathcore stuff, but they're just ridiculous. I just don't know how they do it. They just get better and better. And the production is great. This is pretty much one of the best, like, has like a lot of layers to it. And lyrically, it just feels like it just talks about like war, death, and just destruction and stuff. I feel like this album could, like, a lot of people would think this is a concept album, but it's not really the case here. Yeah, and the one thing to know about is the vocals. I mean, Scott Lewis's vocals, and for me, I think he's one of the best deathcore vocalists I've heard. Like, he goes to, like, has like those insane, like, just brutal lows, and just his highs are just insanely great. Like, they remind me of like very much black metal-y and stuff. The guitar work on this album is great. I mean, Corey Arford and Jordan Lockery's guitar playing is just great. And I just love how they sort of like incorporate a lot of like atmosphere within the guitar playing. You can sort of like one of them that like does like plays lower stuff, and then one plays higher stuff, which incorporates it really well, and it gives it a sense of melody and feel. The bass playing on this album is pretty audible compared to previous albums. I mean, you can tell that Fred Calderon's bass is like, he really just shines on this album. He definitely stepped it up on here. Drumming wise, my buddy Sean Cameron, he could do no wrong. He's just one of the tightest drummers I've seen. Like, just like his blast beats and just fills is just fucking incredible. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album just track by track. Now, kicking things off is the title track of the album, World War X, which kicks it off with just sounds of like machine guns, helicopters, marching soldiers, and a few bars of just very tense symphony with like an avalanche of guitars and growling vocals, which quickly comes through. And like I said, lyrically, I feel like this song just talks about war, death, and certain destruction, which is a pretty good way to start off this album. And then following that is the song Visions of the End, which further expands on the heaviness and propels things even further with just its ear-piercing, chainsaw-sounding riffs, just blast beats, and just tasteful leads. Then next song on here is This Infernal Darkness, which is just absolutely brimful of like atmosphere, and it counterpoints the skin-shredding heaviness with moments of lucidity, turning a regular headbanger into like a much more mature and enjoyable piece of music. And the thing is, it would still go down well live. It's not like too off the wall. And then next song on the album is called Eyes of the Executioner. And this song right here is a lot heavier than This Infernal Darkness. It has a lot more momentum and it feels like a lot more tighter and darker. It's more brutal and it just throws everything at the listener. And it has like dynamic in the brutality. They work like the vocals sort of like go in with sort of like follows like within the drums and the guitar, and the bass is pretty noticeable on here too. And it's one of the few songs that are on here where it's like pretty much at the forefront on here. And then things take an interest, like a different and very interesting turn with the next song, which is No Light Shall Save Us. And this is an all company song, which actually, and this is actually the first time that Arch Enemy has guest music. Not, I just gave it away. Like first time that Carnifex has a more like a guest appearance on the song, and this song features Elisa White Gloves of Arch Enemy, and it just contains like the majority of the album's elements in just under 5 minutes. And Elisa's fast range of like clean and melodic singing adds a lot of variety to the landscape, and then all in a call like in a response between her and Scott just takes the center stage here, and adored by just intense and unresolved keyboard melodies, and a sludgy breakdown and great fretwork by Jordan and Corey, and a moody interlude further enhances like the band's intention to explore a different side of their music. And much like Alyssa has been doing beyond the confines of her stuff with Arch Enemy. And then we go into All Roads Lead to Hell, which is another unique and improbable pairing is seen on here, which actually has some guest guitar solos from the great Angel Vivaldi, which I checked some of his stuff out, and he's damn good. And the contrast between his shredding abilities, frantic double bass drumming, and the heavy thump of like the bass lines work rather well. And one almost wishes this song could have lasted longer, or that Angel was featured in another track, which is another great song. Brushed by the Wings of Demons. This song is just pure hell right here. Just, oh my god. Hail Hellfire. Try saying that 5 times fast. And it has one of the most catchiest choruses on here, and the vocals are just really on point, and it acts as just on like brutality and just aggressiveness on here. And then the album closes with By Shadows Thine Held, and it just closes the proceedings with another example of great songwriting, and all sides of Carnifex are being fully showcased in this grand finale, including the ever-present but so good you need to hear more than twice blast beats, like dissonant chords, neck-breaking percussive riffs, and melodic leads, and you'll be gasping for air, hopelessness, depressed, and exhausted and excited in equal measures while the last note of this album just kicks in. Now overall, World War X by Carnifex is just another great album. Like I say, these guys can just do no wrong. They just get better and better with each album. So if I had to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's really great. I'm also looking forward to seeing them on Tuesday on Summer Slaughter at the Masquerade. So if anybody's going to that, see you there. So yeah, that's my review of World War X by Carnifex, guys. Thank you guys for watching. See you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.